in this video, Daily Race A, I go rallycrossing. In a radical Daily Race B, it all kicks off at Fuji Turn 1, as it always does in Daily Race C. We join the carousel, but get hit straight into a wall. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gran Turismo Weekly Race Guide here in 2025. An interesting week this week. We don't have a Daily Race C guide, which we'll see in just a second. However, we start with Daily Race A, where we're in those radical SR3s. Yes, we're using something different, or at least returning to a car we have used in the past. We're in Sardegna Layout C in reverse, and we are doing 7 laps here. We are on a good start with a false start check on sports hard tyres, and the bot is on. Of course, you can apply liveries and all that stuff. However, they don't make an impact in terms of the performance. Now, if you don't like these radicals, remember there is some tricks with this car. You can jump to Daily Race B or Race C respectively using those timestamps right there or in the timeline down below that YouTube provides. Now, in terms of this particular race then, in the key statistics, we've used this track 3 times. We last used this on the 27th of November 2023, over a year ago. Now, in terms of issues, double shifting is very much OP in this car. You can actually treble shift it if you really get it right. And the car does like to understeer a little bit in certain scenarios, so it can become a little bit frustrating. Without further ado then, let's jump into this daily race. Let's have a look exactly what happens, and I'll give you a lap guide straight after it. Right, here we are then at the start of the race. Jimmy Kiwi once again in pole position. Shelty in P2, and we're starting all the way down in P11. Now, hold that handbrake. I'm going to try something interesting here. Do not copy this. I'm going to start in second gear with traction control on 1. And as we start, you're going to see why you shouldn't start in second gear. As you can see on the left, max power absolutely obliterates me at the start. Yes, I eventually catch up to the same speed as them, but it doesn't work out. So start in first gear is what I would advise there. Turn traction control off before you get to turn number 1 if you aren't using traction control. As we go into here, just be very careful. Very much big crash is going to happen in towards turn 1, just with the way these cars are in terms of understeer and, you know, being really tight line. I talked about that in the key statistics. Now we're side by side here with Bembo as we go down here. Be careful of the wall on the left hand side. I decided to lift out of this and fight another day with Bembo because it's very hard to go side by side through there without losing a ton of time as we continue towards this fast right hander. Now it's very easy to get this one wrong. This is where the understeer really can impact. I clip the curb there, which does force me out wide. I do bring it back here, and what we will do is fast forward a little bit more here towards the final corner. 7 laps here at this circuit. It's a good little race, to be honest with you. This very much reminded me of club championships in the UK. You know, if you watch these on Motorsport TV or Eurosport or wherever you want to watch motorsports, it very much feels like that in terms of a race, and it's nice. So we get alongside Bembo here. We of course are double shifting that I've talked about here. We're staying in 5th gear though on the inside. I think Bembo's in 6th right now, coming back at me as we go onto the brakes and looking to slow this car down. Do we get it stopped? Yes, we do. Someone's got a little bit wide up ahead as we continue round turn number 1, and we're up into P9 here. So we'll fast forward a little bit here up towards this fast right hander, and let's look in the distance then here. We've got Huggy there under all sorts of pressure from Constantine. We've got SL Racing on the inside of Constantine as we continue on through here, and up ahead you just see a car go around there. That is the Israeli driver there as we gain another place. Looking on the inside now of Constantine. Do we get that? Yes, we do. That is a lovely move. I did enjoy that one. You see my reaction down in the bottom left hand side, but Constantine going back for the move on the inside. Is he going to get it done? Yes, indeed. Very well done there. Did give me just enough room on the exit. Yes, there was a small tap, but that was nothing major as we look to head towards turn number 1 then. I'm looking on the inside, decide to not send it. They do send it though. Unfortunately, they're going to go into the French driver. They get it all sorts of wrong. But what's really nice here is that they are going to wait up for that French driver. Good sportsmanship there, and we do benefit from that whole interaction. Huggy on the inside of Dan Gleeden as we go through here. I think, okay, let's carry that momentum. Can we get alongside Huggy? That is the question. Look at this side-by-side action as we head towards this fast right. Nowhere for me to go right now. Huggy remaining on that inside, going to defend the position very nicely here as we go into this final corner. In we go. Let's look to accelerate out of the corner, and unfortunately we can't get a run on Huggy at the moment. But here's the double shift then. Notice that 3rd to 5th gear, very beneficial. You need to be low in the RPMs here with this car. The turbo really powerful in those low RPMs. And as we head towards the next corner then, Huggy goes towards the inside. I did think about making it 3 wide, but I thought, you know what, Huggy's probably going to nail this one. So stick behind Huggy, and hopefully we can benefit here, overtaking Dan. So as we go through here, I get it all sorts wrong that. Look, mounted the curve way too much, and I don't benefit. Huggy does a good move there on Dangly as we head down here then and up towards the very dangerous. Honestly, this corner is so dangerous with a wall on the left hand side. Every time you do a lap here, you think you're going to hit it, although I'd stay well out wide there. We continue on through here then up towards the fast right-hander, and it's not really an overtaking spot. We are stuck behind, I assume it's called Rexy from Dan, as we continue through here in these radicals then. So look on the inside. There we go. Look at the gear shift change there. I stayed in 4th. That benefited me massively for this right-hander, and we actually gain a position there because of the gear decision. Gear decisions are critical in this car. You really need to get them right. So 3rd gear through that last corner, and once again, look here now. We're going to double shift to 5th as we head towards turn number 1. Dan quite far away here, and as we go into this corner, you want to take a wide line. Dan looking to go down the inside here, manages to stop the car there and avoid some contact. So we do remain in 5th. However, do look out for people going down that inside line. They very much are allowed to, definitely if they make the apex as well. So just be careful of that. Lap number 6 then. We're behind Huggy now, fighting for P4. We can see P3 and P2 in the distance as well. Let's see what we can do on this final lap. So through we go in 3rd gear. A little bit of a wiggle there on the last corner. You will experience that a little bit. Huggy there changes gear. Notice the difference there. We go up to 5th gear. Huggy's now had to change gear again then. We go towards the right side using the slipstream. Huggy's got up another gear here. I stay in 5th. Now, arguably, Huggy's done the right thing there, going up to 6th. Well, I assume it's 6th here as we go towards turn 1. I'll explain why in that lap guide, which is coming up very shortly. So in towards turn 1 we go on the inside of Huggy. Do we get the position? Yes, we do. Up into P4 we go. The Sports Fury and German Kiwi up ahead. Let's see what we can do. But look who's in the lead right now. It's Shelty. Shelty is in lead, and Shelty's going to win this race. Well played to Shelty. Nice to see you get the win there. German Kiwi in P2. Sports Fury decides to hit the wall there in P3, and I come home in P4. Now, I think this is quite a fun race, to be honest with you. Nice to experience these cars again. It's actually got 7 out of 10. Do check out the full point scoring detail, the system, down in the pinned comment down below. But without further ado, we're going to go into a lap guide then. Let me tell you how to do this one. So as we head towards turn 1, we're in 6th gear. Do take note of that, and I'll explain why at the end of the lap. So on the right hand side, we've got an orange painted barrier. That's what I'm using as a brake marker. Alternatively, you can use the end of the pit line there that I've highlighted in the middle of the screen, but I would say the orange barrier is better here because you want to be hard on the brakes but then release them and let the car turn in, and that's what I'm going to do here. So you can drop to 2nd gear, 1st gear sometimes. I'm going to stay in 3rd gear here, and notice how I just let the car roll a little bit to avoid some understeer and then accelerate out of the corner. We're going to double shift it down the hill. Always double shift downhill if you can. It will just save you a little bit of time as we go up the hill. Now you want to take a wide line into this one and keep left as hard as you can, and then do a delayed turn for this right-hander. If you turn it too early, you're going to understeer into the barrier, and that's what you'll experience a lot of the time when you're on a fast lap. Now, we've got the end of the whites there. That's what I'm using in terms of a brake marker. Alternatively, you can use the arrow sign on the left-hand side as a brake marker. Now, I discovered about 5 minutes into time trial, in 10 minutes maybe, drop to 3rd gear for this corner because it actually prevents some understeer, and then go back up to 4th gear before you start accelerating on the exit. And it has to be before you start accelerating. If you accelerate, there will be a delay in your gear shift. If you don't accelerate, instantly goes to 4th. I've got up to 5th now as we go through here. The slight lift then, and as we approach the final couple of corners on the left-hand side, the start of the curb there, you want to brake before you get to that. You want to get as far left as possible for this final corner, so you get a fantastic run out the corner and maximum speed towards the line. So that's my plan here. So I'm going to hit the brakes here, allow the car to turn left here. I've gone to 4th gear now, and then literally the end of the curb on the left-hand side is my final brake marker. I've gone to 3rd gear. Now, I've tried 4th gear and I've tried 3rd gear here. Both work. 4th gear, however, has a bit more understeer. You won't need to double shift as much though, so it's entirely your choice with this corner in terms of gear selection. We're in 3rd gear right now, so we release the brakes, let the car roll a little bit. Once we get on the inside, we accelerate out the corner. You will suffer some oversteer potential on exit. So as we go down here, notice we've got to 5th gear. As you go downhill, go to 6th gear here at the start of the lap. You will benefit from increased speed. I don't go to 6th gear at the end of the lap because I don't want the gear shift delay. And there we have a 59.522, and you can follow that one on the leaderboard if you go and have a look for it. Now we go to Daily Race B then here, and you can see we're in Group 3 machinery, and we are at Fuji if you do not recognize that circuit in the background. What are we doing? Well, we're doing 5 laps here at Fuji. It's a rolling start, which of course everyone starts on the start-finish line. Racing medium there, and Bop is of course on where you can adjust the brake balance. I said the start-finish line, we start on the start-finish straight, not the line. If I chose a Ferrari here, it was looking very well indeed. In terms of key statistics, I thought we'd raced here more, but we haven't. So we've used this track 14 times. We've only done this track and car combo 3 times before now, so it's definitely not a top 10 used combo, and we'd last used this track on the 10th of February 2025. In terms of issues, the chicane is very much dive central. Do expect a lot of moves happening there, and the curbs can be very slippy all around the circuit, so you are going to have to be careful of that because it can force a lot of oversteer. Without further ado then, let's jump into this race, which you can see in the background is a lot of side-by-side action and also a lot of fun. Right, who is in this race then? We got Brown Banana in pole position. We're starting all the way down in P15 with Max Power right behind us in the Porsche. And we kick off this race in the Ferrari. If you are enjoying this one, as always, give it a like, subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with all the latest content. We catch up to Sparks Theory very quickly. He goes towards the right for a defensive line. We continue towards that right-hand side, and we do get alongside Sparks here before we get towards turn 1. We're actually ahead there as we go into the brakes. Do be careful in towards turn 1 at Fuji, because you can cause crashes very quickly by going bowling. Fortunately, we do not go bowling this time, and we have gained a position here as we head towards this fast left-hander. Looking to slow the car down here as we chuck it left there. Just getting slightly wrong. We didn't have too much practice between race C and race B this morning, about 3 minutes or so we are pretty rough here. He goes a bit wide there and continue on through here. Brings it back very nicely as we head towards this left-hander, and you can see now the field is starting to bunch up here. This is what I like about Fuji. You know, we have the rolling start. Rolling starts I'm not a fan of in the grand scheme, but in Gran Turismo. However, Fuji brings the car together very, very quickly. We go hard on the brakes here, looking to get running outside of Huggy in towards the chicane we go. And look at this then, side by side as we go into the left-hander. Still side by side, beautiful racing. We give each other space. This is what it's all about then as we head to the next right-hander. You can check out Huggy on YouTube, of course, as we continue on through here. We've got Shelty coming up next. So we try and get the inside of the Ford GT then, and can we get it to work? No, Huggy's trying around the outside. Can Huggy get this done is the question. We continue on through here then, and as we continue on, there's a smallest tap between Huggy and Shelty, and that sends them round, which is very unfortunate. I'll have another look at that one in the bloopers, of course, but we do benefit from that. We gain 2 positions from that incident as we continue on to the start finish straight. Now, one thing you do not want at Fuji is a penalty, and unfortunately in the distance there, Kaz has that penalty, and that means I gain another position. You can see how much of an impact that was. That was a 2-second penalty, sending Kaz all the way to the back. So hard on the brakes here in towards turn 1. Bit of action going on up ahead, side by side contact as we continue on out of here. Someone's gone towards the right side into the barrier. There you go. Some more action going on here. So we've gained what? That's 3 positions in one corner. Up into P8 now we go. As we go into the brakes there, a small tap, a tiny tap from the rear there as we continue on through, and the penalty for the Spanish driver up ahead, which should mean we're in P7 effectively already at the end of lap 2. I know we're not at the end at the moment. Somebody did question me that on the previous one, and I'm referencing in the future. But we send it down the inside here on the McLaren driver. We do get it stopped there. You are allowed to send it in racing. I hate this idea that you're not allowed to send it. Of course you are, but you do it in a safe environment. You know, you make the apex. That's absolutely fine. So we're way too deep, then you're obviously doing it wrong, and then you need to think about that, because that's not then a clean attempt at an overtake. We look down the inside here once again. The McLaren gives me some room on that inside line, and we are fighting here. Now, why am I fighting? You're probably going, Tidgy's got a penalty. Why are you fighting? Well, we have a Ferrari behind us, so if I don't fight here, I'm going to lose a position all the same. So it's a bit of a difficult situation to be in. However, as we get towards the end of the lap, I really want to get past at this moment in time. Let me explain why. If I can get past, I can get a car between us, which means the gap between me and the Ferrari behind increases while the McLaren driver takes a penalty. So I'm going to send it down the inside here to try and get this done to really increase that gap. So there we go. We made the move through there on the tight line there on the final corner of Fuji. And that gives us that benefit of the gap behind. So the McLaren driver now can take the penalty. And we've very well know now we're over half a second ahead of the car behind, which gives us a bit of benefit. We advance to the next lap here, and bad start lap number 4. We've got Sergio Torres up ahead then. We've got Bembo in front of them here. We are catching Lamborghini quite quickly here. So we're going to go towards the right side then. Are we going to send it down the inside? No, we hit our brake marker as normal. The Lamborghini tried to outbrake us in towards turn 1, gets it wrong there, and we are up a position. Up into P6 we go as we continue on through here. We're still in fights though. This is what is great about Fuji. There's always fights going on the circuit, which means you can have a good race. And I think this is the go-to daily race this week, in my opinion, especially when you see what daily race C actually is. However, you may have a different opinion. Do let me know in the comments. Through the right we go then. We continue on towards the brake zone here. The Lexus up ahead here. We're going to go on the brakes there, and unfortunately they're going to the back of Bembo. Wasn't their mistake there? Well, sorry, it was their mistake, but they rectify it by waiting for Bembo. We benefit from that. We did slightly tap them. Should we have waited? I don't think so, because they caused the first incident, so we just benefited from that, in my opinion. Continue down towards the chicane then. Bembo defending the inside line here. Hard on the brakes we go. Going to try around the outside at the chicane. We do go a little bit deep. However, we are still there as we head towards left-hander. Bembo tried to get ahead there. Unfortunate mistake as we continue on out here with 3 wide right now. So I did leave lots of space on that inside. But in that rear view, you can see one car has gone spinning. And unfortunately, that is Bembo. We will check that out in the bloopers though as we continue to the final lap then. So we're in P4 right now as we continue on through here. We're going to get a big yellow flag up ahead then. What's happened? I have no idea, but on the right-hand side, we've got an Italian off the circuit, which puts us onto a podium position here. So we head towards the end of the race. That is going to be the end of this one. And again, this is a fantastic race, in my opinion. It could have done with being a little bit longer, and that would have increased the point score that little bit more. 6.5, which seems about an average, really, for Daily Race B in terms of how the scoring system works. However, you can check out the full details down in that pinned comment below. Without further ado then, let's have a look at a lap guide here. You can follow this lap, which you can see what it is at the end of this particular one. So we're +3 brake balance. You can see that on the right-hand side. We head towards turn 1. Now, remember, we've got a new and improved bop here. I would say it's improved in my opinion. So we can break that a little bit later on all these corners. So on the left-hand side, we've got the start of the grandstand. You can use that. However, where it goes dark grey to lighter grey, I'm actually using that. It's the first square on the grandstand. You can see that quite clearly here on chase cam. So I'm breaking that a little bit later than the start of the grandstand. I'm going to drop all the way down to second gear. You may want to go to first. Try and avoid going on the curb in the Ferrari. It does unsettle the car a little bit. All curbs unsettle the Ferrari, actually, as we continue on out of there in second gear. Being MR, of course, you can accelerate quite early due to the weight being over those rear wheels. We head towards the next corner, and on the left-hand side, we've got the dark grey to a white, intentionally in the barrier. That is our marker for this left-hander. I'm actually going to go down to third gear. You could argue that you don't actually have to go to fifth gear here, accelerating, but I do, and then I drop to third gear. The third gear rotation is very nice in this car, so I brake and then turn in, and then I'll let it roll a little bit, and when I click the curb, I go up to fourth gear just to settle the car a little bit. Now, we've got these escape roads on the inside on this long right-hander. So the first one is your lift-off marker. Don't brake. I don't feel there's any necessity to brake here. Just lift off, let the car do its own thing, let the downforce do its job as well, and the car will go around this corner absolutely fine. If you brake, it may force understeer, and it may force some oversteer, which helps. I don't know, but in my opinion, you don't need to do that. The second escape road is your accelerating marker. I didn't stop it there because I don't see any point to. But we head towards the next left-hander. And on the left-hand side, we've got the end of the curb. That is your brake marker for this left-hander. I want you to brake in a straight line at this moment in time. And only when you are happy you have slowed the car down enough, start to release the brakes and turn in. Don't try and trail brake 100% all the way. Notice there, I release, I turn in, I click the curb, and then I can accelerate out of the corner. Try and use quite a bit of the curb on the exit. Not too much, though, and you'll see why in the bloopers as we head down towards the chicane. Remember, new bop means slower cars. This does mean we can brake that a little bit later. We used to use the Dunlop sign, not anymore. We want to brake between that board marker on the right side, which is 100, and just before the Dunlop sign on the right side in the Ferrari 458. Other cars will vary, of course, but they are my two markers. I'm actually braking in the middle of these two, and I'm going to brake in a straight line once again. A straight line is the best way to brake braking efficiency. I'll then start to release the brakes. I'm in first gear right now. Notice how the car then rotates. Accelerate a little bit up into second gear. Do that in all cars. Always go up into gear, and just be careful on the exit there about oversteer. Power oversteer, very easy to get on the exit of that chicane. For this right-hander, you've got the grass going into that tarmac, or not tarmac, the AstroTurf, whatever you want to call it, on the left-hand side. Really good brake marker this. So as you get to this point, you're going to hit the brakes, you're going to drop to second gear, and you want to release the brakes quite early here so you can start to trail brake towards the corner, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Notice that, all trail braking, let the car roll a little bit, accelerate out the corner. Continue towards this left-hander. The end of the curb on the left-hand side, once again, is your brake marker. You're going to have to trail brake all the way through this corner. It's why I like Fuji so much. It really suits my driving style. And you're going to head out as you brake, and then you're going to release the brakes and let the car just turn in. Let the car do its own thing once again, and that's what I'm going to do right here in the Ferrari. So I'm hitting the brakes, hit the brakes, hit the brakes, hit the brakes, release the brakes, let the car rotate. Once I've gone over the curb, I then start to accelerate up to third gear. On the right-hand side then, we have the orange painted barrier. We always use this brake marker at Fuji. It's a very obvious, very easy marker. In terms of lines, I think a slightly tighter line is better in Group 3 than a wide line, in my opinion. However, the wide line is definitely more safe on the exit. The tight line, I would argue, is a little bit quicker, especially with the reduced power here now in Group 3. So we try and get the car rotated, instantly on the throttle there to try and balance the car. As we continue out, just be careful of the light, or the teal there on the left-hand side. That is a bit slippy. We head towards the line there now. So 138.615. You can also follow this ghost on the leaderboard if you have a look for it as well. We jump to Daily Race C then, where you can see we're in Group 1 cars, yes, and we are at the Nurburgring. And believe it or not, this is the 24-hour layout, so we're doing the full thing here. 23 laps because it is so long. It's a rolling start on the racing medium tyres, and you are required to pit at least once. Fuel and tyre right there for you, and you can adjust the brake balance here in the Group 1 category at this combo. In terms of key statistics at this circuit, well, it's very hard to overtake on the majority of the circuit, and there are very big differences between the cars. The Group C car behaves very differently to some of the modern Group 1 cars. With hybrid, the non-hybrids will behave differently once again. So you expect a lot of carnage here if people are choosing different cars. However, I've just had a look at the leaderboard. The Audi R18 seems to be dominating, and you won't see one in this race, I don't believe. I chose the Toyota at the time because it is very quick down in a straight line. However, the more modern cars, the previous cars to this generation, this is the hypercar, the previous ones to this, they are going to be better because they have higher downforce, and I would argue that's why the Audi R18 is doing very well. Without further ado then, let's jump into this race and let's have a look exactly what happens. Here we are then at the start, and you can see everybody chose the Toyota. Arguably, that was the first car everyone went to. We do have an Audi R18. Hoggy picked that one. Right, if you are enjoying this video, as always, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. No lap guide for this one because it's a Nurburgring. I will link a previous Nurburgring lap guide there if you do want it. But the cars are so different, it depends what you pick. So we head down the inside of that Bugatti as we head towards turn 1. Again, very different cars here, so some will have strengths in places where you have complete weaknesses, and you do have to be aware of that as we continue on through here. I mean, we did get a position from the Bugatti. We've actually got a position there from Skelco as well, so 2 for 1 there in turn 1. Hey, I'll take those as we continue on through here on the GP layout for now. Norman there being brave, choosing a Group C car. I mean, fair play to you, Norman. Real fair play indeed. That car's going to be rapid on the Dottinghurst straight then. And so as we head towards this right-hander, what's in my head is I want to get past this car very quickly because it's going to hold me up on the very much handling sections of the circuit, I feel, is that Nissan. So we continue on up to here then, and this Schumacher S, just be very careful through here. The curbs are very unstable in some of these Group 1 cars. I found that out very quickly this morning in this car, doing a bit of practice before the start of this race. Norman unfortunately gets a 0.5 second penalty up ahead, runs wide, so here's my opportunity to try and get past before we hit the Nordschleife, and there we go, around the outside. I did enjoy that move. You can see my reaction there in the left-hand side as we continue now towards the chicane. The good chicane, the chicane we should be using on every single layout of this circuit, not the silly one which is sharp. This one is great fun, and in my opinion is the one that should be there all the time, in my opinion. Anyway, we head towards this left-hander. Big crash up ahead. Shelty off. Ryoki off. We get on the inside of the Brit as well. So we gain 2 places there. Not quite ahead of Ryoki here, but we're up into P6 on this first lap of the Nords as we get to the very fast section here. We're going to go hard on the brakes into this right-hander. You see there, 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. In fact, all the leaders are here. We can see everybody up ahead. So we've got a chance. Muscappi's been off the circuit there on that corner, and we can see we're catching Muscappi very quickly. But as I said in the introduction here, in the key statistics, very hard to overtake there. Nowhere really to go. Going to have to be careful here in terms of cars up ahead because everyone's going to be braking all over the place. We don't have that many laps in the morning to practice this one. It opens at 6:30. No, it doesn't. It opens at 7:30 in terms of summertime, sorry. And then we get racing at 8 o'clock. So you've got the chance of doing 5 laps maximum, 4 laps. So that's full laps as well. And you're not really going to do that either. We head down here then. We've got the fast left here as we continue on through. I'm just backing out of this one a little bit, just trying to be safe. Max Power's in the newer Toyota. Sorry, it's the older Toyota, but the more LMP1 version of the Toyota. I'm getting so confused with all these Group 1 cars and where they sit. We're in the hypercar right now, but obviously the previous car, the TS050, is better in terms of a car. Now, Ryoki's just gone off in the distance there. They're going 3 wide there. My word, 3 wide at the Nurburgring. You don't see that very often. The German back off there due to the dirty tyres as we go into this right-hander. We're up into P5 then. Job done here. Sonic Snake in the Bugatti Vision Gran Turismo car as we continue towards the carousel. Now, the carousel, very hard to get right here, especially in these cars because you want to just lob it in here. Unfortunately, behind there, we get a tap from Ryoki. I think still struggling with dirty tyres, and that does cause me to have a lot of damage on the car. Look at that in the bottom left-hand side. Just damage everywhere. Now, Max Power here, I don't know if I had damage or not, but looking to get by. But when you get to this sort of speed, it's the hypercar then that takes over the old LMP1 car, the older version, but still modern. The TS050 behind. So confusing with these naming conventions on these cars. It really is. But you can see there, Max Power can't get by. Even with the hybrid system, can't get by. Yes, we've got a hybrid, but I think the one behind is a bit better. It is all about hybrid on this race combo. If you keep your hybrid, you're going to do very well here indeed. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I get it a little bit wrong there. So I see Max Power Quinn along my inside. I thought, you know what, I'll give you some space here to try that opportunity. But we keep it in front of Max Power as we head towards the jump there. Through the right we go. And this is why probably Group 1 cars aren't at the Nurburgring with that jump there. Can you imagine that in real life? It'd be pretty nuts, wouldn't it? Right, we continue on then to the Dottinghurst straight here. And this is where the penalty line is. So if you get a penalty, you're going to be absolutely brutalized here. Kaz, unfortunately, has had an incident. We're going to have a look at that one in the bloopers. But we do go on by there up into P4. We can still see the leaders just in the distance. Of course, that damage really impacted my race. Muscappi going for the first lap pit. Remember, you do have to pit in this race. So Muscappi going for that strategy. I didn't want to do that because I figured I'd end up in traffic and then struggle to get through people and actually lose more time. It's really interesting in terms of the strategy here in this particular race because there is some strategy there, but not a lot. Max Power unfortunately just taps my rear there just because we've got different cornering. That car behind me, much better at cornering, doesn't have as much of a top speed, and that's where, again, the differences in these cars happen there. So Max Power just taps my rear again. Just a mistake. You see I've got a bit of damage there from that, but Max Power still can't keep up even with that damage. So we got on the dotting here because not much else happened in that lap. And you see here the Italian really saw they had a penalty, a 3-second penalty, and we'll have a look at that one in the bloopers, the reason for that. But we are now very close to the lead here. So we have to come in the pits on this particular lap, okay? Now, do you change tyres or not? Now, I kind of figured nobody else is going to change tyres here, so why not try a different strategy? I'm going to change tyres, and let's see if it benefits me or not. So we come in the pits here, looking to change tyres. Everybody else won't be changing tyres. You're going to see people go out very quickly, and that is going to drop us back about 3 more additional seconds here, and that's going to mean I'm going to have a lot of work to do to try and catch up. Muscaffi there in the distance as well. We're still in P4 here. I think Max Power may have changed tyres behind, not too sure. Why has Max Power dropped off? I can only assume it's the hybrid that has gone at that point, because I did try that Toyota, and it does evaporate his hybrid, especially if you're stuck behind somebody slower, because you have to use more of the hybrid then to speed up. It's a really interesting concept in Gran Turismo with that hybrid. Up ahead, Muscaffi's just got off the circuit there. The hit, miss, hit, whatever it's called. As we go into this left-hander, we go side by side through there. This is so difficult to do. And while there's a little bit of contact here, this is superb racing in my opinion, because we're trying to go side by side at the Nurburgring in Group 1 cars. This is so difficult, okay? And fair play to Muscaffi with this one, this race. This is so good. Yes, there's small taps here and there, but you can't really help that. This is just racing at the Nurburgring. As we continue on through, we finally get up into P3. The rear end went on me. Muscaffi lost the rear end a little bit more. We head towards the Nottingham straight. Once again, there's not that much racing here, just due to the fact that cars spread out very quickly. You can't overtake, but we are looking to catch up. Now, up ahead, I was hoping there was going to be an incident here in towards the final sector, and you can see there a bit of smoke. And as we go through here, there's a spin going on up ahead. Sammy Sink recovers that very nicely. We go through them as it goes, and up ahead, the Italian's got a 3-second penalty. So when all's said and done here, we're going to win this race by default by staying out of trouble. We head towards the line in P1. I've won at the track I really do hate there. And yeah, this race is an interesting race in my opinion. It's not my cup of tea. It may be your cup of tea, and you can see there the mixture of cars because people had no idea what to choose at the time. I've given it a 6 out of 10 due to the point scoring system. That is not me choosing what points are. That's based on the structured system we have down below. You may like it, you may not. Do check out the comments down below. Write your opinions on it. No track guide for that one. I will link one at the end of this video. But through the right we go here on the bloopers. They go off the circuit and they're going to go for a spin there. All 4 wheels off the circuit. The turbo kicks in and you go for a spin. That's what happens on Gran Turismo when the turbo kicks in on the grass. Right, daily race speed then. Max Power and Sparks. Sparks on the inside here. Max Power turns in. Slight tap on Sparks. Sparks giving Max Power some room on the outside there. And this is just a case of a racing incident there. Max Power waits up for them. We're on board Hoggy then as we head towards this left-hander. Look how close the racing here is then. So as we go through this left-hander, Shelty gives Hoggy some room on the outside. And it's very much just the way the track was going there. It's the smallest of taps. Hoggy literally waiting up for Shelty. Good sportsmanship there from Hoggy. As we look a bit further back here to Sparks. This is a nightmare race for Sparks. So Max Power's on the right-hand side there. Let Sparks go. But unfortunately, we've got a yellow flag. So guess what's going to happen here? And this is one frustrating part of Gran Turismo. The yellow flag penalty. 3 seconds. What a stupid penalty that is. Again, it's not Max Power's fault, not Sparks' fault. It's just a ridiculous penalty that's in the game right now. Right, lap number 2 then. We're on board the Ferrari here of Mix. As we go into here then, Benbo's on the inside. Bit of contact there, trying to go 3 wide. Very difficult to do. And everyone's all over the place. The Supra I think just goes on the slippy stuff there, goes for a spin. And Mick actually loses out there in that scenario. And the Spanish driver there with the 0.5 second penalty. So Sergio Torres here. What happened here with Benbo? We saw Benbo spin in the race. So you can see a bit of contact there. We go 3 wide there. So all space there. As we continue on through. Oh, Benbo loses the rear end a little bit. The Spanish driver nowhere to go there. Does hit the brakes. I was trying to avoid. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, that one, in terms of a racing incident. Now the Italian, we saw them at the end of the race off the circuit. What happened here? So they're behind Sad Tomato Jr. here. As we accelerate out of this corner. Oh, they go too far off the circuit. Yeah, all slippy. And they go off. So very much a Sad Tomato indeed for Doomsday here, rather than Sad Tomato who wins the race. Right, Shelty, what happened to you on Daily Race C? So through the chicane we go. Again, I will highlight it. The best chicane on the Nurburgring. So as we go through the left-handed... Oh, outbraking. Yeah, Shelty, tyre walls are actually hard surface. They're not breakable, so losing out there, unfortunately. Right, so why was this person further behind on Shelty? Because Shelty didn't go to the back of the pack. Clips a curb. Curbs are treacherous in some cars. This Peugeot, no exception, apparently. Don't touch the curbs. I guess a weird reset there. Look at that, it's flying. Right, Ryoki. So you catch up to the Bugatti, which struggles in straight line speed. So it goes around the outside. Oh, nearly. Brings it back on very nicely, though. Look at the Muscaffi. They want to move by Muscaffi. Through we go, just on the grass now, looking to try and, well, recover the car here. Good recovery there from the German driver as we continue on. Muscaffi's moved there through the middle. dangerous, but amazing. I do say so myself. We're going to head towards the carousel then. As we go into here, they hit the brakes just a bit too late. Yeah, it felt massive at the time, but you can see there, they just got it slight being wrong. It is what it is. They actually get a penalty for this as well, 2 seconds, and then they leave the race just after that. So the Italian driver then, who we saw have a penalty on the Dodgy straight earlier on. Why did they get the penalty? Well, we got Kaz up ahead. So as we go into here, Kaz just gets it slightly wrong there. Slight tap here from the Italian, who does wait behind at a fair sportsmanship. Sammy comes through there. Small tag between the two. I don't think that's Sammy's fault in my opinion. It's just a case of return to the racing line while there's a faster car on the line. It is what it is. We stay on board the Italian then at the final of the race. Oh, yeah. This is one where the Group 1 cars are going to be so... The server will move them across the screen so fast. And that is an unfortunate incident there with the Italian. 3-second penalty, though. Sammy's just behind them, so there's no need for them to wait. Now, Shelty here with the Nissan, and it's number Toyota here, I believe. So as we go into here, what's going to happen? On the brakes then, the Nissan just goes off the circuit. Oh, Ghost comes back on, but still, there is an impact and crash there. And Chelsea's going to end up with a 3-second penalty, which is a bit silly indeed. That's going to be it for this video, though. If you have enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, stay in touch with all the latest content. 2 videos there to check out, including a Nurburgring lap guide if you really want one from me. But the braking markers, they're the ones that I use all the time when I'm at the Nurburgring. A big thank you for watching as always. Do check out my partners down below. They do give a kick back to the channel as well. And I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.